Hello, and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for June of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening in June. Well, Sagittarius, let's begin by talking about a difficult planet, which is Pluto. I have been mentioning him in the last couple of months because Pluto's doing something new for once this year and changing signs. So he's kind of vibrating back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius. This month, Pluto begins the month here in Aquarius in your third house. And so Pluto's really just dipped his nose into this house, hardly even stepped in here at all, and is about to retrograde back into your second house. And so Pluto in the third is not terrifically meaningful, but it is a sign of things to come. Pluto is going to move into your third house in Aquarius for real in January, and then will be there for more than a decade, transforming your conversations, your communications, perhaps your voice, and causing you to discover the message that you're here to bring. So that can be pretty powerful, and it's going to unspool over many years. But this month, the news is that Pluto, being retrograde, is backing up into your second house, where he's been for quite a while. That happens on the 11th right here. And as Pluto has been traveling through your second house, he's been transforming your relationship to money, worth, and value. Also, the worth that you bring to the world, your deserving or deservingness, if you will, and your body and how you take care of your body for health and longevity, as well as the food that you eat. Pluto's been traveling through your second house, through Capricorn, since 2008. And so this has been a very long-term, slow-moving transformation, which has probably put you into some pretty dark, heavy, and scary places and made you feel out of control about your money during that time, or perhaps about your body or your diet. And it's those moments of vulnerability that are the most transformative. Hopefully you have navigated it with grace and graciousness. Now that Pluto is getting ready to finish out the transit to this house, I've found that Pluto's, well, any planet's transits in the very beginning and at the very end of a sign or house are the most powerful parts. And so this is really the last chance to just mop in the corners and just really clean out and fully transform your relationship to your body, your food, and your money before Pluto moves on, because he's not ever coming back to this house. And you may sigh a sigh of relief about that, absolutely. But on the other hand, let's not miss any opportunities. So Saturn is traveling along through Pisces and has entered your fourth house, bringing his characteristic feelings of heaviness, seriousness, obligation, duty, pressure. And so you may be starting to feel the pressure of Saturn in your home life, in your relationships with family members, whether you live with them, and especially if you do, but also even family members that you don't live with anymore, such as parents or grown siblings. So Saturn is pressing you to take responsibility for things that happen in your home. For your home itself, perhaps will be demanding that you do some major remodeling or some reconstruction or even move house. I often find that my clients end up living in a construction zone while Saturn is transiting through their fourth house. And it is uncomfortable, but it can lead to really great things in the future. Saturn generally spends about 2.5 years passing through this house. And this month, on the 17th, Saturn is going retrograde. You see the little red RX symbol right there. When Saturn goes retrograde, then the plot thickens, if you will. The pressure intensifies, and you may get some insight, have a pivotal day on which you realize that, something really needs to be handled around here. You don't need to sit around in fear. You can just roll up your sleeves and get to work. And I do recommend that. So Juno is right here, finishing out the sign of Gemini and your 7th house. She's been here since last month. Now, a wonderful thing is happening, which is that Juno is moving direct, which is forward, and moving fast. And she has a wonderful day this month, which we call Commitment Rapture Day. It happens really about every year and a half or so. And that this is landing in your 7th house is a strong and doubled theme, suggesting that this could be a really good time for you to deepen your commitment in an already committed relationship, or to convert a light relationship into a committed one. So this is the kind of, fish or cut bait moment in which you have to ask yourself, how would I feel about, being more committed to this person for a very long time going forward. And by that, I mean, it doesn't just encompass the possibility of getting married, it also encompasses business partnerships. And if you are feeling good about this person while Juno is conjuncting the sun, then it's probably a fairly good bet that this is a good partner for you, and that deepening the commitment can take you forward into a good future with that person, with a very solid connection between you. Juno will shortly after that move onward into a new sign and a new house as the sign of Cancer and the 8th house. Now, these are both watery. The 8th house is one of the water houses in the chart, so it signifies a little bit more private and even intimate terrain. Juno passes into the sign of Cancer, and that sign has to do with emotional bonding and sympathy, and really connecting with another a person from the heart. Juno's going to be in this house for a little while, until mid-August, so about 2 months, and that's really normal for Juno. This is a house of intimacy. It's a house of bonding and trust and investing. And that can take the form of emotional investing, like, telling your troubles to your best friend. It can take the form of sexual bonding and investing, like, deepening your relationship by taking it into the sexual realm, perhaps. And it can also signify financial intimacy, trust, and investing. And so when Juno moves into this house, you may find that any and all of those things are deepening in your relationship with a committed partner. If it's a business partner, I don't recommend having sex with them. That's just normal. Don't go there. But this is a really great transit for building trust. And also, if you do have some investments in financial instruments that you share with your partner, this could be a really good month for looking at those and just making sure that everything is shipshape, and that both of you are feeling good about the places that your monies are hanging out. Then we have Ceres. She starts the month in Virgo, traveling through your 10th house, which I would have mentioned in your last month's horoscope. Ceres went retrograde back in February. We called it a financial rebalancing period. During this retrograde time, which lasted until early May, Ceres backed up into Virgo and really began to put an even more discerning, discriminatory, and calculating eye on your finances. And Ceres is all about finances, as well as food and eating and other things that connect us to the physical world. But she's been traveling through your 10th house, which is the domain of career and authority. And so she's been telling you about how important it is to make sure that your finances are conducted in a way that is organized and with integrity, and just a very detailed view of your finances, especially as pertains to any business that you might run or a workplace that you participate in. And so she's been bringing all kinds of problems up, and you have been expected to solve those problems. And now that she is getting ready to move back out into the 11th house, this could be a really good time for getting some closure to the financial rebalancing that you have been doing. And also bringing this out into the realm of friends, networks, community. And if there is a community or a group that is organized around principles of financial security and safety, or even like a dieting group, where you do it all together and you get support from the group and you give support in the group. Ceres in the 11th house is a really beneficial transit for participation, useful participation in that sort of thing. She's going to be here for about 2 months from the time that she enters, and she is speeding up. So finances can really get untangled at this point, and better plans will proceed going forward. Hey, Julia, what is up with Mercury, Venus, and Mars for the Sages of the world?
Well, a lot going on with Mercury this month, Sag, because it's going through 3 different houses of yours. So this is going to be a lot of information. And the reason why Mercury is moving fast is because it's totally finished with its retrograde cycle, which happened last month. So in between retrogrades, it moves very fast and direct, like now. So Mercury starts off in your 6th house, which is a great fit for Mercury. Mercury is a planet of mind. The 6th house is a planet of work, habits, and organization. So the beginning of the month is a great time to get organized in your life. That might not be your favorite thing in the world, Sagittarius, but it's really useful. Go through your files, go through your Tupperware drawer, and flush out your computer hard drive, for example. You also might notice that you're getting more communication with the people that you work with, too, because the 6th house rules our work environment. Then by the 11th, Mercury goes into your 7th house, where it's going to be mid-month. The 7th house is your romantic relationship. It's your business partner. It's people you hire for advice. So with Mercury in the 7th, mid-month is a great time to hire somebody if you need to bounce your ideas off somebody else, like a lawyer or a doctor or a counselor. I think that's going to be really the best time in the month to do it, mid-month. And you might find that you're actually talking and communicating a lot more with your partner. Maybe this is a good time to bring up things that you've been wanting to say to them, and hearing their advice on things as well. Or if you're single, you might be thinking about your next relationship too, with Mercury in the 7th. Then by June 26th, so sort of the last week of the month, Mercury enters your financial house, which is the 8th house. It rules the money that you share with your partner, your family, as well as mortgages, taxes, investments, loans, all of that stuff. So your mind by the end of the month is going to be on your money. Maybe you'll be talking more with your partner about shared money, or with your family, or maybe visiting your bank or talking to a financial advisor. That could be a good use of this transit, just to strategize and plan ahead financially. By the 30th, this is an important date to keep track of. Mercury is going to conjoin the sun, and it's doing this while direct. So we call that greater epiphany day. Then when it's retrograde and conjoins the sun, we call that lesser epiphany day. But either way, when you have an epiphany day, it's a time of insight and revelation. And since this is happening in your 8th house, that means you're going to be having some clarity about finances in your life. Maybe that's when sort of a good plan gets put in order, for example. So keep track of that date. It could be important in terms of knowing what to do with your money. Now, Venus and Mars, the planet of love, as well as the planet of drive and war, are both going to be in your 9th house this month. However, Venus is starting in your 8th for the first 5 days of the month. So Venus in the 8th can bring a little bit of extra money luck into your life. very, very early on into the month. So that might mean more money coming from your family and partner, or maybe a little luck with your investments. By June 5th, Venus enters your ninth house, where she's going to join Mars, who's also going to be in there all month. So there's going to be, a lot of dynamic ninth house activity for you this month. This is a house of learning. It's a house of legal affairs. It's a house of travel. It's about new experiences, all the things in life which expand you. So this might be a time where you're super driven to go on a trip, or maybe have some kind of new adventure, maybe go out camping, see a new place, or learn something new as well. Mars is going to give you that drive for adventure, that drive to do new things, where Venus is going to give you a little luck along the way and a little bit of pleasure. If you do find yourself traveling this month, while I do think it's a good idea, you might run into some frustrations along the way, because Mars is in your ninth house after all. And there might be some push and pull with legal matters in your life. Maybe you get pulled over and given a ticket, but maybe you're also able to kind of charm your way out of it at the same time with both these planets in the ninth house. And if you're in school, this could be a very dynamic time where you're really driven to work hard, learn more, get through a lot of your schoolwork. You might not also be seeing eye to eye with your fellow students and your teachers. However, Venus in the ninth house, I think, is going to smooth things over, the rough edges of Mars in here. So learning can also be a big pleasure too. So really try to get out there and broaden your horizons in some way this month.
Hey, Jamie here. Did you know we run live workshops monthly where you can get questions answered about your own chart? Join us for a live customized reading of your personal chart. This month's topics are success and your Saturn return, transiting nodes and your destiny, and harvesting opportunities during your Jupiter luck year. And these workshops are available exclusively for our beloved Patreon subscribers. You get the Nodes and Destiny workshop with your Tier 2 subscription, and you get all 3 workshops with your Tier 3 subscription. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. Now let's get back to the video. Well, let's talk about moons. On the 3rd, we had the first of this month's moons, which is a full moon in Sagittarius, your sign. And this can feel really good, even if it's your sun that's in Sagittarius and your sun is nowhere near 7 degrees of Sagittarius. But if you have Sagittarius rising and this moon falls in your first house, it can feel even better. So many good emotions when the moon is in Sagittarius, of happiness and joy and enthusiasm, and just this moon really has a bounce in its step. But a full moon is also a time of tension, because the moon and the sun are playing a little tug of war, and this happens every month, so it's pretty common, but it's just part of the trait of the full moon. So the moon is pulling towards adventure and fun and mischief and silliness, and not really thinking about its impact very much on others. Whereas the sun in Gemini is like, let's think this through, let's plan. That's not a good idea, Sagittarius moon. So the sun is really acting as a check and balance on that moon. There's a lot of harmony to help here. The sun and the Mars and Pallas Athena are trining and sextiling the sun and moon. Chiron too is trining and sextiling the moon. So that's super helpful and begins to take off some of the tension. We're calling this moon Nerdy Adventures. And so if during this moon you feel like, some wildness is coming up in you and you just want to, break out and do something a little bit crazy and adventurous, just grab your nearest Gemini friend to help to balance you so that you can think the thing through and not do anything too hasty or impulsive. The second moon I want to tell you about is coming up on June 17th. This is a new moon in Gemini, which lands firmly in your 7th house. And as you can see, the 7th house is really full and busy for you this month, bringing so much of your attention to the realm of relationships. And we've been talking about this. It's all about partnership this month. And this new moon is bringing up new ideas. And I say ideas because the sun and the moon are meeting up here in Gemini, a very cerebral sign that loves to have conversations and dialogues and bat stimulating ideas around back and forth across the net. And a new moon is a time of new beginnings. So this is the time for the birthing of ideas through a dialogue or conversation with a partner, somebody who can mirror your thoughts to you. So this is a very fertile moon for ideas. And there's also some tension built in because there's a square to Neptune and to Ceres. Ceres, being a very practical earthy planet and in the earthy sign of Virgo, wants to reality test those ideas. And Neptune wants you to dream them up and imagine them to see how they might play out. So there's some dynamic tension there for Ceres and Neptune that the moon and the sun are going to have to mediate. So as the month goes on, this little cloud formation of Gemini placements begins to break up and the sun moves off into the 8th house. And so by the end of the month, there is going to be a building up of emphasis here in the 8th house, the realm of intimacy, of psychological depth, of sharing and investing. And wherever the sun goes, we want to bring the sunlight of our high quality attention so that things can thrive. And so when the sun enters the 8th house, it's time to shine that light of consciousness into some of the dark, more mysterious corners of yourself to see like what really is going on underneath the surface. What are your instincts driving you towards? And is that unconsciously driven, or would you rather, do that thing consciously? And this is a really good time to put some warm and sympathetic attention into the more intimate spaces of your relationships, such as your sex life with your spouse or partner, or your shared finances with your business partner, and to bring some things to light that maybe you haven't looked at for a while so that they don't molder, in the darkness, and they can instead, be seen, be talked about, be felt through, and go better in the future. The sun will only be in this house for 30 days. It is a good time for like a therapeutic process. And if you've been wanting to get your partner into couples therapy, this could be a good time for initiating that sort of thing as well, because intimacy isn't just sexual, it's also emotional. And so during the 30-day period of the sun in the 8th house, who knows what wonderful transformations could be afoot.
Well, that's all we have for you today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, then please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly transits workshop for Tier 2 patrons on Patreon. And it's practically free at $15 a month. Find the link in the description below to sign up. Enjoy this beautiful springtime. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.